without necessarily having really sophisticated design approaches that you pull off more effective sustainability. It's about working through the shadow crap that we have, so that when you're at the boardroom with a decision maker, or when you're lying in bed having pillow talk with your partner, that you're not causing more suffering or blocking the communication or driving dynamics into the system just because you're contracting or I'm contracting, right? So it's a lot of work of like doing the work but showing up in a clean way. On bottom of page 4, John here, who's Australian, said, hey, recognize that sustainability itself is a temporary concept, right? It's just something that we've come up as a way to, he calls it a defensive routine, which is part of our larger transition of humanity itself. It's this sort of concept we've come up with as kind of a way to essentially respond to the craziness that's happening. But as humanity grows and develops, essentially, that sort of concept is going to shift and change. One of the reasons why it's hard to define sustainability itself. It's really different for different people because of the different worldviews that they bring to it. Because it's a concept. It's been adopted. He also points out here in this second piece of advice that if you get out of the way, whatever you want to have occur or whatever needs to occur will occur, but you've got to get out of the way. And he's really pointing out, and he gives a little anecdote here about these people that he's seen have essentially they've been elected, parliamentarians or become presidents of associations, and essentially they go into these systems, and because they're so uncentered themselves, they begin knocking around these systems like knocking gyroscopes out of control and making them unstable. And so it's about what Patrick and Moreno were talking about earlier about developing in their particular case, it's that Zen solidity of being that then allows you to step onto the mat from an Aikido metaphor and be balanced and be able to essentially work in the space of great complexity without adding a whole bunch of disturbance to it as well. And so again, that comes through shadow work. It comes through being aware of the contractions that arise in us and the limitations that we hold. And then I really like his third point here on the top of page 5, where he talks about essentially taking responsibility and holding yourself to bring the widest possible perspective and degree of care that you can to the work. So, for example, in the work that you folks are doing in Arnhem around creating a eco-village, right? You're seeing a larger and more long-term perspective for Arnhem than probably many of the residents of Arnhem. And to a certain extent, you have a responsibility to hold that open, to hold that long-term space open. Because people will tend to contract. They'll tend to, the business world contracts to what's the quarterly profits, or what do we need to do within this next election cycle from a political standpoint. I find myself at work, for example, trying to hold it open. This week we were talking about essentially doing a analysis of the cocoa sector and looking at the intervention points where we can invest to help to transform the entire market. And someone basically said, yeah, we need to do that analysis so that we can help our program be successful, so that the government essentially continues to fund us and deliver on our objectives. And I said, yes, and we're doing this analysis because we're going to put it into the public domain because it's going to help the sector as a whole to learn about itself and help it to transform for years and years and years to come, way beyond our program, way outside of our program, right? It's not just about doing it for our needs. And so that's an example of really like, if you're seeing that wider space and it's not being held within the discussions that you're having with people, then step into it and hold it open for people, because they can go there with support. Meaning, if you hold it open, they can get it. They may snap back into their quarterly results perspective or their election cycle perspective when they leave the room, but you've held it open there for other people. So, shifting here to some other ones that I was touched by. So shifting to page 7, this is another example from this person who was a senior person within the United Nations Development Program, and actually his assessment hasn't quite come back to me yet. So I estimated him at an alchemist, but I'm off on this stuff sometimes. So, but I'd like some of his advice. So first of all, he really felt that it was critical to trust the wisdom of the group, whatever the group is. And his experience in walking into villages all around the world after 40 years of international development work, walking into every sort of hostile environments, politically challenged environments, is that if he steps into that space with a deep honoring of the individuals that are there, and in his paradigm, he sees them as faces of God, right? He sees them as aspects of himself that are there and showing up. And if he could step into those engagements from that space and then invite the intelligence out of that group, then they tend to have all the solutions that they need to transform their village, to take their community to a whole other level from an international development perspective. And the work is really about just harvesting and cross-pollinating those insights amongst them, as opposed to needing to try and figure it all out, needing to try and provide solutions that his Western academic perspective gave him. But it was really about that one-two punch of deep honoring, and then, because when you deeply honor someone, right, they open up with you. If we hold a space for someone where we're just loving them for who they are, even if we're not using those words, but that's what we are offering to them in the moment, then they have this precious opportunity to open up and share what's really important to them and what they really think, right? And so then it's a matter of harvesting and sharing it with others. So, and then I do like that his number 3 piece of advice was to use participatory methods, use social artistry, and use integral frameworks. And he built a large-scale program that used those 3 elements, using Ken Wilber's integral model and Gene Houston's social artistry work, and all of the amazing work that's been done around participatory methods to what he calls decentralized government around HIV/AIDS work, and essentially empowering communities. It's beautiful stuff. So let me just do a quick time check. How are we doing?
We have 12 minutes or something.
So what I want to do is let's roll down the developmental spiral just a little bit to kind of get a sense of what other people feel important. And what I want you to notice is that as we do this, essentially what happens is that the depth starts to slip away a little bit, and the focus becomes more on the external world and less on the internal world.